Welcome to the business of being healthy, where we are passionate about treating our health as good as we treat our wealth. Sheley Brien here, and I am obsessed with sharing real life experiences and wisdom to help save you time, heartache, and money as you continue to grow personally and professionally. Twice a week, we push aside that BS to take massive intentional action. And I promise by tuning in, you will receive the straightforward talk you've been waiting for, filled with actionable steps that will inspire you to achieve the health and wealth you desire while you are building your empire. Today's episode is literally like hot off the Stairmaster, let's say. Yesterday, when I was at the gym, I was listening to something and it hit me. And this was something I was like, we have to do an episode on this right away. So that is what you are getting today. But before I dive into this whole story, and this one is like, it hit me hard and I know it will hit you. And I'm going to just provide a lot of perspective. But before we get into it, let's dive in to that review that I call out. So each week on my solo episodes, I am calling out by name the reviews that are left on the show. And I just have to say thank you so much, because leaving those reviews literally is such a big, it's like a confidence boost. So thank you, because doing this can be hard. And when you hear that it touches somebody, it really just helps give you that motivation to go forward. And the other thing about reviews is reviews help podcasts get seen. And so the more reviews that you can leave, whether it's on mine or someone else's, know that you are actually helping that podcast connect with other like-minded people. So I highly encourage, I do this all the time. I think I'm truly a believer in paying it forward and just sharing your thoughts, good, bad, and different. But it's just about leaving that review in hopes that it helps someone else. And you know, that's what we're big on here on the show. But today's review comes from Alpha Laura, and she titled it, Love This. I appreciate the authenticity of this podcast. There is so much to consume when it relates to health and business, and Sheley brings it to you in a real way. Appreciate the practical tips. Well, Alpha Laura, thank you very much, because we are definitely about pushing aside that BS here. It is all about bringing you like real raw stuff that is applicable, and hopefully with stories and actionable tactics to help you tie it in, use it, share it with someone else that could do the same. So thank you so much. Again, don't forget to leave those 5-star reviews. Now let's dive in here. Let's dive into the show. So this one, I was literally on the Stairmaster. I was watching actually the sermon from my pastor. And this isn't going to be a religious podcast solely focused on religion. Whatever your belief is, you do you. The thing is that I'm a Christian, and this message really hit me. And so not only am I going to share the YouTube link to this, but my pastor, Pastor Travis, he is a little wild one, so relatable in so many different ways. It's definitely not the church that I grew up with. Let's call it that way. But his sermon, there was one point in it, and he was going so far, going again and again, and just on different parts and pulling together different things. But he asked the question overall is, are you walking by sight or by vision? Now, if you're new to the show, this hits me in a few different ways, because I'm actually blind in my left eye. So I think the sight thing and the vision thing is obviously very relevant to me. But I think about it and just the differences between sight and vision. And it really started hitting me because, you know, here on the show, we talk about business and health and all things in between life. But I think at various times, and this might be contrary to what actually he was saying, I think sometimes we do need the sight, yet sometimes we need to lean on the vision. Is that it's not one or the other, it's actually both. And so one thing I will say when it comes to our sight, right? And when you think about that question, are you walking by sight or by vision? What actions are you taking based upon what you're seeing Or what actions are you taking based upon what your vision is of who you are becoming, the business you are building? What is that? Because our sight sometimes, and I think that you can relate to this, it'll lie to you, right? Just go get on the scale after you've been eating. I'm doing air quotes if you're watching this on YouTube. If you've been eating healthy and you went to the gym 5 days this week, and then you go get on the scale, like you feel before you get on that scale, like I'm doing the things to get to the vision of myself that I will see, that I will have, right? Whether it's losing weight, gaining muscle, gaining weight, whatever it is, you feel great because you're taking all these action towards your vision. Yet you hop on that scale after all that effort and the number hasn't budged. Well, then right off there, your eyes, your sight now is telling you, your mind, that your effort didn't work. What you're doing isn't work. Your vision, focusing on your vision, isn't going to work because look at this number. It's not working. Where your vision, I mean, I don't know about you, before I move on, have you ever done that? I know I have at various times, whether it was for a fitness competition or just working hard to really tighten up this body. That scale can definitely, right? Looking at it can almost like trump all the effort that you're putting into it. That being said, because I've been on a health journey for over 10 years, right? And over a decade, and really over 2 decades, if you count the overall wellness, like losing eyesight and stress and all these other things, the vision of my health is much bigger than what a scale number tells me. And so your vision is going to be deeper. It's bigger than you. It's something it's not just a goal, because I feel like everyone's like, oh, it's just the goal. It's the vision. What will I be wearing? How will I feel? What is the confidence when I walk in the room when I reach X health goal, right? And I wanted to spend some time, these are the shorter solo episodes. So trust me, I'm not going to spend too much, but I wanted to spend some time kind of arguing both sides. And I'm actually going to use the health example that I started with, but then I'm also going to tie in some business. We're going to do both of those here because you cannot have success in health and not have success in business. You have to have both of them as you're moving down the pendulum of success, right? The healthier you are, the more successful you'll be. The more successful you are, the more that you can actually leverage your health to increase your success as well. So bringing it back to the scale, because I think that is an extremely relatable example. I had a client that I was coaching in the past. I'm no longer doing coaching, but that I was coaching in the past that was doing all of the things, just like I talked about, right? Going to the gym 4 days a week, eating healthy, eating right. Her nutrition was on point, and that scale wasn't moving at all, like at all. And she was losing motivation, momentum. The vision of who she wanted to be was starting to fade away because she was not seeing the results. I've been in her shoes before. I've been in those shoes, and it is hard. And sometimes your willpower isn't enough to get you through it. And so I had her do something different. And this was a 60-day period. This wasn't like just a quick result, right? So she had to stay committed. I actually gave her a sheet where she could measure the various points in her body, right? Like you measure your chest, your waist, your hips, your thigh, your arm. You measure it and write it all down. We did that on the first of 1 month and then came back again on the next month. And we also put the weight number, right? While she was very disappointed in the numbers, right? Because the numbers don't lie. The numbers were right there showing her all of her measurements. What was cool is that when she came back 30 days later, she had only lost 2 pounds. 2 pounds. You could argue that's not very much, right? Think about like 2 pounds of meat, 2 packages of meat. It's not very much. Her numbers on her measurements dramatically dropped in every area of her body. And so I share that because she had that vision and she knew who she wanted to become. She had done the mindset work. She was killing it, but started losing focus on that vision because we weren't physically seeing the results. And so by doing something different and looking at a different metric, she was able to then see with her eyes and prove to herself and increase her motivation to stay focused. Because our results don't always show up in the way that we expect to see them. And I think that's something that is so important to keep in mind, is that even though you are doing these efforts, your definition of success might not be the actual success that comes from it. Now, does that make it a failure because it's not your idea of success, like seeing a number on a scale go down, but all of the measurements on your body do? Would that be a failure? Heck no. It's just a different way of seeing it. So that's why I'm arguing this a little bit on that. I actually think we need both. We need both sometimes. Now, I will bring this back to faith at the end, because I think there is something here we cannot neglect to look at. But I also want to tie this to business, because what is so funny is now, I could look at this in my financial world experience, when I was in the pharmaceutical world experience, but I'm going to bring it to you right now here in construction. My husband, Chris, and I, we have a commercial construction company here in Scottsdale. And what is one of the coolest things about construction, and we actually just shared a reel on this on our social media, is we work in what's called like gray spaces sometimes. And so a lot of the spaces that we do, it's just literally like the roof is still exposed, the wires are exposed. You walk into this space and you can't think it. And we just did a huge medical office space, and it was what's called a gray space. And you walk in there and you're like, what the heck? I can't see, like, I don't know what this is. But then you can look at the plans, right? So now I'm using my sight. I'm looking at the plans, and I can see the vision of what the architect and the designers put on this plan, on these plans for us to build, to construct. And there's various points that we have for inspections, for timeliness, for ordering. And a lot of times when it comes to construction, the actual vision, the end vision, is 100% more important than the site. Because one of the things that we love is when our clients come on and do a site walk, because they might be thinking, oh my gosh, we're behind. They're only using their site. This isn't to like call them out or anything like that. It's just, we work on different ends of the field, right? They run the business that is going to be in there, or it's a construction manager that manages it. We're actually doing the building. So we can see the vision, and we work and walk and do all of our actions based upon the vision that is in the plans. Regardless of what we see in that gray space at the moment, we know what it will look like at the end. Yet when the client comes in, they'll be like, it's behind, it's there, we're missing this, we're missing that, like all these different things. And we're like, we're not done with construction yet. We're still on our timely schedule. We still see, and we are walking by the vision of what will be, not what we see at the very moment. Now, the other side of it is that, of course, we see the construction that we're doing, but there is the bigger picture. And in construction, one thing always leads to the next. So you have to have all of your trades in place. You have to have all of this. The vision is what we 100% have to walk through when it comes to building a construction project. The other part of construction that I'll touch on real quick before, I'm going to leave you with some actionable steps here. But the other part of construction, especially in commercial construction, is we, as in our company owners, we don't make the profit till the end. It is typically at the end. So we are walking in faith of completing that vision to make sure that we get paid. So it is a lot in construction, walking based upon our vision and not walking in place of what we just see at the moment. And I just want you to think about your business right now, whether it's small or whether it's big, the team you're building, the product or the service, is that sometimes your clients and even you at times might be walking on sight. And it's always bringing it back to that vision, that bigger vision. Yet I say, and I shared this example, is that you might sometimes have to look at sight and recalibrate what success is at that moment. Now, what I want to do is leave you with literally, I'm keeping this short and sweet, 2 actionable items or 2 actionable ways that you can continue to walk by faith and not by sight. Okay. And I think the stronger that you can stay focused to the vision with occasionally seeing and using your sight, the more successful you can be. But the first action that I would suggest, and this is what I do every single day, is I do the things that would make it unreasonable for me not to succeed. So I think so often we're like, oh, I'm changing my whole marketing plan. I'm not getting the results that I want right this second. But if you're making the prospecting calls, following up, you have a funnel system, you then have another follow-up, then you're asking for the business, then you're going back and asking for a referral, or, you're building this business, is take the actions that it would literally make you unreasonable for you not to succeed. In health, if you eat consistently nutrition that is aligned with your goals, not just during the week and on the weekends going wheels off, but you're doing it consistently, day in, day out. You are adding movement, whether that's going to the gym, strength training, doing HIIT classes, yoga, but you are doing these things because of the vision that you want to become, of who it is. It would be unreasonable for you not to reach that if you stayed consistent in those actions. And number 2 is a fun one. And I'm going to bring this back. There was an episode that I recorded on this, but this is paying homage to Charlie Munger, right? The right-hand man to Warren Buffett, is using the theory of inversion. He's known for a quote, invert, always invert. And this is something that I learned this year that I implement when I want to make sure that I am walking by my vision. And what that comes to, instead of always saying like, what is the goal? And this kind of ties into one a little bit. What is the goal? Instead of saying, I want to have more happiness, let's say, that's my goal. I want to have more happiness. You invert it and you ask, what are the things I should do to guarantee I will remain unhappy? Did you see how I inverted that? Some things could be stay in the same current situation. That will guarantee unhappiness. Do not invest time in yourself. Yep, that will probably guarantee some unhappiness. Do not seek any personal growth. Yeah, for sure. That's going to keep me unhappy. And do the opposite. Stay in the same situation? No. Change your situation. Is it changing the location of where you live? Is it changing the location or the community that you are involved with? And that comes to either health or business. Yep. Okay. Well, if I don't invest time in me, I will remain unhappy. I will guarantee unhappiness. Well, I need to invest in time in me. What is that going to look like? Is that going to look like a change in your schedule? Is that going to look like investing in a coach, or investing, and I mean coach, like even like a health trainer. It could mean investing in a course to teach you a new skill you've always wanted to do. It could be investing in a new wardrobe. All of these things are going to make me more happy. So I think of the theory of inversion. I think of Charlie Munger because, one, obviously he was incredibly brilliant, but we always want to focus on the thing that we want. Well, focus on sometimes the thing you don't want and do the opposite. That will put you on the right path to achieving that what you want. So the two things, again, to walk by faith, walk by vision, not just by sight, is to remember to do the actions that it would make it unreasonable for you not to succeed. And then when you find it's needed, always invert, like Charlie says. Now, he asked us a question throughout, and I might be saying this wrong, so don't shoot me, but this is how I took it. He asked us, are we David or are we Goliath? Are we the giant? Which one are we? And our eyes will sometimes see us as the giant, as the giant, and not as David. And when we walk by vision, we can see that we are David, that we are the one that is going to take down the giant, which is sometimes in our head. Thank you again so much for tuning in. I hope that this one hit home for you like it did for me. And I think as we close out the year here and we get ready for another year, which I think is going to be a crazy one, is remember to ask yourself, are you walking by sight or by vision? Until next time, we'll see you then.